Hello students, today we shall begin a new chapter, that is chapter 9, A Voice in the Dark, written by W.H. Davis. Before we begin the chapter, let us know something about the author. You can also open page number 117. About the author. W.H. Davis was born in 1871 in Newport, South Wales. He left school at an early age and began to learn a trade, but then took to a trampling life in England and America. The story is taken from the Autobiography of a Super Tramp, which is the story of his life on the road. Later on, he wrote 2 more books about his life, A Poet's Pilgrimage and Later Days. He also wrote a lot of poetry, the best of his poems being on the subject of nature. Okay, so who is the author of the lesson? A Voice in the Dark, W.H. Davis. Okay, so this is the story is based on the author's own experience, so it provides a good basis to discuss autobiographies. So the story is based on the author's his own experience it is. Okay, so we can say it is an autobiography of W.H. Davis. So when you read this chapter and when I explain to you, you will understand what is it. It's his own life experience he has written in the autobiography. Okay, so in this chapter we can see 2 characters. What are the 2 characters we see in this chapter? One is the author of this lesson. Who is the author of this lesson? W.H. Davis. We can see 2 characters in this lesson, and one is the author of the lesson, W.H. Davis, and the other one is his friend James. Both of them were traveling within the Canada, okay, from one city to another for some purpose, as they were not having tickets. They have not taken the tickets. So in each stations, they were hiding. They were trying to hide themselves from the police, from the watchman, and from other people around. So you can imagine what is the story is all about here. Okay, what the story is here? A Voice in the Dark, written by W.H. Davis, and it is his own life experience, his own autobiography he has written here. And also in this chapter we see 2 characters, that is, one is the author W.H. Davis, and also we see his friend James. So both were traveling within Canada, one place to another, as they had no tickets. In each station they were hiding from the policemen, from the station master, and from other people, those people who are around them. Okay, so they wanted to reach Winnipeg. This is a place name, within the Canada. It is a place name, Winnipeg. In fact, that was their destination. Where they were going, the author and his friend, where they wanted to travel, they wanted to go to Winnipeg. On the way, they boarded different trains, one free train and a local train. So the traveling was very much slow. So they were taking a free train and a local train. So you can imagine that local train stops each and every places. Okay, so their travelings were very slow, and they were stopping here and there. And who didn't like this slow traveling? W.H. Davis, the author, didn't like the slow traveling. So they went to the particular town called Renfrew. They stayed along with the other passengers, but they stayed in an empty car hidden from the other passengers. because they were afraid of the police. The police might catch them. So what's the reason they were afraid and doing hide and seek there? Because they didn't have the ticket. Without ticket, they were traveling. Okay. So now we will see the line-wise explanation of the chapter. Okay. So you can open page number 114. Page number 114. The snow was still deep and the morning and evening cold when a week after this we reached Ottawa. The slow travelling was not at all to my liking, and I often persuaded my companion to make more haste towards Winnipeg. This he agreed to do. So the next morning we jumped a freight train, determined to hold it for a whole day. Unfortunately, it was simply a local train, and being very slow, having to stop on the way at every significant little station, we left it at a town called Renfrew, intending that night to beat a fast overland passenger train, which would convey us for 400 or 500 miles before daybreak. Okay, so what is written in the first paragraph? First paragraph of the chapter. It is written here. In the first paragraph, the author is telling we are on the way to Winnipeg. The place name, Winnipeg. We are on the way to Winnipeg. Me and my friend, Davis and James. So me and my friend. And it was winter because morning and evening it was too cold. It is written here, no? The chapter. The snow was still and deep. It was morning and evening very cold. So, and it was winter because morning and evening it was too cold. Full of snow. So we can imagine that it was winter season. And then they reached Ottawa. It was the capital of Canada. The slow travel, the author William Davis was not liking the slow traveling. So he did the writer, the author did not like the slow traveling. He wanted to reach Winnipeg as early as possible. He wanted to move fast and reach the destination. Which is the destination where they were going? Winnipeg. Okay. So every day they would take a free train, and free train means the train that carries goods. Free train means the train that carries goods from one city to another. But unfortunately, it was not a fast train, but it was just a local train. It was stopping at every unimportant station. You can imagine that a local train stopped every unimportant station, and it was moving very slowly. Who did not like this? Mr. David, the W.H. David, the author. Okay, did not like this. Then they agreed that they would leave that free train and get down at Renfrew, and they were waiting at the train station for another train, a passenger train which would take them very fast. So what they have decided, they would leave, they would get down at Renfrew, the place name, the particular station Renfrew, and they would take the passenger train which will move, which would take them fast. Okay. So, with this object, we sat in the station waiting room until evening. So, with this plan, which plan they would take? They would get down from the local train and travel in a passenger train which would take them fast. So, they go down at Renfrew, and they were waiting at the station, waiting room until evening. And then some 20 minutes before the train came due, we slipped out unobserved and took possession of an empty car. So what did he do? With this plan, they sat in the station waiting room. Where they sat?